Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Artist Town Hall here at the David Henry Wong Theater. I'm Tim Dang, the producing artistic director here at East West Players. And if all of you, in fact, want to move up, feel free to move up so that we can be a lot more intimate ensemble of artists tonight. But I wanted to thank all of you for coming. All of you in the house for taking the time to come out on a hot Monday evening to join us, as well as our audience, wherever you may be viewing this event online. So we welcome everyone. We are also thrilled that you are able to participate in this very open and transparent process at East West Players, or EWP for short, that prepares us for transition to enter a new chapter of our organization after celebrating 50 years. So we divided our town halls into two distinct meetings, one that will be focused on artists, that is tonight, and one tomorrow night for the community. Tonight we focus on the artists, the ones who create the art, writers, directors, performers, musicians. Perhaps a little bit on the fringe of this are the producers, other artistic directors who care deeply about Asian American artists. Tomorrow we focus on the community, the people who experience our art, the people who support our art that we create, those who benefit by the art we create, those whose spirit is lifted by the art that we create. So those would be our subscribers, our donors, our ticket buyers, educators, other funders, businesses, other artistic organizations that we collaborate with. So tonight we want you to think deeply, perhaps beyond East West Players. Perhaps we should think of the future of Asian American theater, or perhaps even beyond that, where Asian Pacific artists will eventually have a place at the table in theater, TV, film, YouTube, music, etc. So to start your brains in motion, I was actually listening to the musical Hamilton by Lin-Manuel Miranda that is taking Broadway by storm. So I was listening to it in my car on my way to San Diego yesterday. I had planned to see a production of La Cage aux Folles that I am directing next year at East West Players to do research, envisioning our own production. But I was actually taken by Hamilton because it was brilliant. And then I thought, could East West Players actually inspire the next Lin-Manuel Miranda, but Asian American? We may have very well inspired David Henry Wong as a child, as he played at our theater, as his mother was our rehearsal pianist, and his father was the bookkeeper in the very early years of East West Players. So maybe we are doing something that's inherently really subtle in terms of creating an Asian American theater. And certainly we have very successful alumni that have come through the doors of East West Players, like John Cho, B.D. Wong, Cal Penn, Jennifer Paz, Reggie Lee, Daniel Day Kim, Randall Park, Susie Nakamura, just to name a few. And all of you out here in the audience. So how can East West Players serve the artists better? Can we serve the artists better? If there was not a place like East West Players, would API artists thrive in another capacity? Do we need East West Players? Again, this is from the artist's point of view. So just as a show of hands tonight to see who is in the house, and raise your hands multiple times if you need to, how many of you consider yourselves actors, performers, dancers, or singers? Raise your hand. Great, thank you. And for those of you on the screen, we probably have about 70 to 80 people in the room, so I would say about half raise their hands. How many of you consider yourselves writers? Raise your hand. Okay, maybe about a quarter of the audience. How many of you consider yourselves directors? Okay, maybe a little less than a quarter. How many of you consider yourselves designers? Okay, we have a couple of hands, a few hands up. Okay, so now, at this time, I would like to introduce to you a member of our board of directors. He is our legal counsel of our board and also a past president of the board, Mr. Dan Maeda. Dan.
Thank you everyone for coming tonight, and for those viewing on live stream, welcome. It's truly gratifying to see the interest, not only in this room, but across the country, as to what East West Players does and what the future may hold. Tim Dang has been a remarkable leader of this organization for the past 22 years and has furthered our national reputation. His will be our shoes to fill, but it's also an exciting opportunity for new vision and new leadership, and that's where you come in. This is the first time in East West Players history that we will have an opportunity to conduct a national search for new artistic leadership. But before that process can begin, we need to hear from the stakeholders, from the artists, from the community, as to what you envision East West Players to be in the next 5 to 10, perhaps even 20 years. We're doing our due diligence here. As stakeholders, I hope you've taken the opportunity to sample some of the works that East West Players is engaged in, our main stage productions, our youth arts education initiatives, our professional development programs, as well as our advocacy work to increase diversity, inclusion, and equity in, not only on the stage, but also in film and television. All of these, more information on all these programs can be found at our website at eastwestplayers.org. Now, it takes artistry here at East West Players. It takes community. And I'm not going to lie, it takes money. And speaking of money, I'd like to introduce the members of the board of directors who are here joining you. And first, the president of our board, the Honorable Robert M. Kawahara. Also here from the board is our Al Albin and Randy Kimura. It's hard to see from here. I don't think there's other members of the board here tonight. I know some are live streaming, and I know some will be here tomorrow at tomorrow's forum. Now, I've been on the board for over 21 years. Bobby has been on the board for about 25 years in 2 different eras. In fact, he was here when we made the transition from the first artistic director, Mako, to Nobu McCarthy. And even though Al and Randy have been on the board for fewer years, they're longtime patrons of East West Players. In fact, Al here has seen East West Players plays going back to 35 years, which is pretty amazing. So collectively, we have a great deal of experience and history with East West Players. And we have a deep respect for East West Players' founding by artists 50 years ago during the Civil Rights era. We know how important EWP is to the artists, as well as to the Asian American community generally. And we don't intend to screw this up. From the time of his announcement in late June that Tim was stepping down, we wanted this transition as a board to involve a process that is thorough, inclusive, transparent, and professionally conducted. And that's why we've engaged the services of Arts Consulting Group, or ACG, to be our partner every step of the way in terms of our management assessment, our transition planning, and the artistic director search. ACG is one of the finest organizations in the country involved in management consulting and executive search, and they have a particular focus on nonprofit arts organizations. Now, ACG are the experts here, but the board is going to be working very closely with them, making sure that the process is culturally sensitive. And Tim also will be a participatory in the process and guiding us in terms of his extensive knowledge of the field. We are also aware as a board that our process needed to include artists who actually create and develop the art. So I'm happy to announce tonight that we have included 2 respected members from the artistic community to serve on the search committee along with the board of directors. And those people are EWP's longtime arts education director, Marilyn Tokuda, and playwright, and also serving with Marilyn will be playwright Prince Gomobilis. And at this time, I would like you to join me in welcoming from ACG, Rebecca Lambert and Nikki Genovese, who are here tonight to introduce themselves and to explain how we will conduct the proceedings tonight. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to stand up here. Good evening. It's an honor to be here. I am flew down from Oregon. I live in Eugene, Oregon, a few days ago, so I'm enjoying the heat. Also had the great fortune of seeing the production here Saturday night, and I have great admiration for the work that East West Players does and its wonderful history. I'd like to tell you a little bit more about Arts Consulting Group and a little bit about myself, and then I'll hand the microphone over to my colleague, Nikki. So Arts Consulting Group was actually founded, we're in Los Angeles, we're an LA headquartered firm. We were founded here in 1997, and we've grown to service all of North America. Nikki and I have colleagues in New York, Boston, Chicago, Dallas, Nashville, Denver, San Diego, all over the place. And we're fortunate to work with arts and culture organizations, museums, orchestras, ballet companies, theaters across the country. It's humbling and tremendous work. Other theater companies that we're currently working with, you might be interested to know, Portland Playhouse and Shakespeare Dallas. We've also worked with the Cleveland Playhouse, Miracle Theater up in my neck of the woods, Portland, Signature Theater, and here locally, Pasadena Playhouse. We've also worked with the Pacific Arts Movement in San Diego. I don't know if you're familiar with that organization, the San Diego Asian Film Festival, the Japan America Society of Oregon, and the Portland Japanese Garden. So we're proud of a wide variety of cultural organizations across the country serving diverse communities and doing great work. I'm from Pasadena originally, started out as a musician, transitioned over to orchestra management, and eventually ended up as executive director of the Eugene Symphony and served in that role for about 7.5 years. I joined Arts Consulting Group 5.5 years ago, and my practice is focused on executive search and organizational development. And again, very happy to be here tonight. Thank you.
Good evening, I'm Nikki Genovese. As Rebecca said, I am also with Arts Consulting Group. I have a much shorter tenure with ACG. This is my 4th month. So, before coming to ACG, I was the head of theater management for Cal State Long Beach for 5 years. Before that, I was the managing director at New York Stage and Film. Before that, I was the general manager at the Public Theater in New York, where a little show called Hamilton just got its preview and is transferred. Before that, I was the general manager here in Southern California at South Coast Repertory, although I am from the East Coast and I am a New Yorker, despite my time on both coasts. I do have a rather personal connection to East West Players, and that is that maybe if any of you saw Tommy, I was the mom of 10-year-old Tommy, so she's a girl, and she would want me to tell you that. So what's great about that is that I got a chance to actually be part of the East West Players family before I was a consultant for it. And so I feel very much like you, and I know I actually was the one that took Rebecca on her tour backstage, showed her all the ins and outs of what we had. So I feel very much at home here, although not as much on stage as I would in the back, or the back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be kind of moderating, facilitating, nudging you, as both a mom and a manager will do. And right now I'm going to give you some of the housekeeping and process. So, as we noted, the purpose of tonight is to hear from you, not from us. We want to hear your thoughts, your concerns, your questions, your ideas. And because this event is being live streamed to artists who can't be with us today or who want to watch it later, we have made sure that you make your comments very clear and concise, and that's why we gave you those questions in the advance, so that you can do some thinking before you get up to the microphone. You will have 90 seconds to offer your comments. I have my new iPhone 6, and I now know how to work the stopwatch, and I will use it. You can also write your comments on the index cards, which you should have received when you came in. Yes? Ish? No? Yes. Okay, good. Someone's waving one, so that's good enough for me. And you can also, if you are shy, want to tweet your comments. The address is #EastWestPlayers. So we will have someone who is actually monitoring the Twitter account and will be able to share with us if there's any kind of overwhelming trend. Thank you, Crystal, for doing that. And you can always email to us if you would like to at the end of the evening if you're really shy and don't want to say anything, or tweet tonight. Okay, so with that, I am going to give you the questions again, and then I'm going to sit down and be very quiet unless I need to egg you on. What I would love to do is, if you have already started thinking about your questions or you're ready to jump up and be the first one, you will need to come down here. That is the man, that is our guy, Andy, and he's going to make sure that there's no craziness in line, but you will need to actually be here. So start with Andy, and then you'll come on down here and you'll be able to do your question or comment. Please note, again, the camera is on, so if you are shy or if you're union and you don't want anyone to see you on camera, then come up here on stage with us, because we're not on camera. But please do speak into the microphone, and this is your chance to actually contribute. So, I'm going to read the questions, but if you're ready to jump up, come on up and go to Andy. Okay. I'm going to do one question at a time, slowly. First question. East West Players is celebrating 50 years of excellence. As an artist, what are East West Players' biggest successes to date in your mind? What do you think East West Players does for you or for the API community of artists? Why do you think East West Players is important? You will not be graded on spelling, so don't worry. Question number 2. East West Players gives voice to and increases the visibility of Asian American community and was created in response to the lack of Asian American representation in the mass media. As Asian Americans become better represented in television, film, and new media platforms, what is the role of East West Players? From your standpoint as artists, what do you think are the biggest challenges facing East West Players? And finally, what possibilities and potential do you see for East West Players over the next 3 to 5 years, or even longer? Okay, first question. Again, East West Players is celebrating 50 years of excellence. As an artist, what are East West Players' biggest successes to date in your mind? What do you think East West Players does for you or the API community of artists? Why do you think it's important? Who would like to jump in on that one? Come on down. All right. And if you could, for me, please, when you get to the microphone, could you say what your field is, whether you're an actor, writer, designer, technician? Give me all of the above.
Well, does that eat up my 90 seconds?
I want to start so you get to the end of your introduction, but don't make this like your audition tape.
Okay, so I was born.
Here we go.
My name is Don McWillie. I consider myself an out-of-work actor who earns his bread and cheese by being an academic. I teach at Cal State Fullerton and Cal State Long Beach right now. And to answer the questions, the best successes for East West, well, I figure there's enough new people here that they'll knock off all the things that came in this theater when it first moved in, but I will mention productions that were still at the old theater. Shows like And a Social Dance, Cleveland Raining, Avocado Kid, shows like that, which most of you have never seen. Maybe you weren't even born then. It is my pitch that there was really excellent theater that was going on before we made the transition to this space here. What do you think East West Players does for all of us? Well, it gives us work. I just talked to some of the ladies from A Widow of No Importance. It was so great to see. It is so great to see Chinglish, and one of my acting students was on stage. Why is it important? Well, I have lived at a time when I did not have work. Yeah, I'm sure you heard about Viola Davis. It's hard to win an Emmy when there are no roles. It's hard to work when there are no roles. And when Emma Stone will get cast as a quarter Asian person, and you don't have East West Players, do you really think you got a shot at representing yourself? if things are left by themselves, I get very paranoid as I get older. And me feeling this age of how lucky we are to have this space to audition and not get cast. It is a privilege, as opposed to wishing, oh my God, please, can I get cast somewhere on the Mark tape or somewhere, sometime? Why do you think it's important? Well, I've already said it. A response to the lack of Asian American. This is interesting. Do we have any value as an Asian American artistic community if we're not talking about how we are persecuted? I would suggest to you we do. The stories that we have in our communities has just not been tapped. Or mostly the first types of stories that are told to you come from our anger because we have been so pissed off by being neglected. And a large part of our writing, for some playwrights, is to talk about the other things that involve our lives.
Anton, you ready to wrap up?
Have I got it? Did I used up my time?
I'm going to play you off.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
I must confess, out of collegiality, I did let him go a little longer because the Cal State thing. Name?
Ready for me?
Yeah.
My name's Eric Shu. Thanks guys for throwing together this event. Nikki, Rebecca, Robert, Timothy, and I didn't get your name, sir. Dan. And everyone else, Marilyn, L, whoever else. I always view myself as somewhat of an outsider when it comes to theater, but I know that our representation as Asian Americans on screen and on stage is very, very limited. So I know it's the hard work that you guys have provided that have gotten us the minuscule amount of exposure that we've gotten so far. I feel like we have a very long way to go. As far as the accomplishments that you guys have provided, I think it's, like I just had said, because having us here to speak. My background is as a filmmaker and as an artist, and I just happen to be Asian American. I grew up in a small town in South Dakota, so like I said, I always view myself as an outsider. But I have several friends that are in the artist community that are Asian American. They are always asking for content to allow themselves to be expressed on cinema or on stage. But when I write the material, it's frequently defying expectation. And as a result, I find it hard to get a response back from this community to embrace the work that I'm doing. So I can give you an example. My next film is a short film. It's called San Gabriel, and it's a satirical sex comedy. And basically, with every scene, Asian American people are getting it on. I don't know, Marilyn, you might have remembered when I told you about this film. You know, and I've been doing readings, and and I'm like, okay, it's ready. I should make it. But as I've been jumping into the community, and be like, let's make this. I get a lot of reluctance. So I guess my question is, how can we work together so that I can get people who are willing to defy expectation with me to make this film? And yeah, what can we do for one another to make that happen?
All right, thank you.
Okay, my name's Eric Shu, so if you guys want to be in a satirical sex comedy called San Gabriel
All
Valentine's.
right. All right, next. Other thoughts? Really, in this whole room, we had 2 people? Come on, Joe. You can line up, too.
Hello, family on this live stream. I'm wearing my artist hat today. I'm Allison Del Cruz. I am a self-identified playwright, performer, producer, director, all-around educator, lover of storytelling. Longtime East West family, and certainly somebody who sees their legacy or sees their artistic life come alive in the old space, and saw some of my artistic dreams come true on the stage. To me, East West Players is important because we need visible marker places that we can point to in Asian Pacific American theater to say we were here at the 2014 TCG conference over the summer. When they did this whole thing about founders of American theater, they left us out. And we are not out. We have been here. We've been here longer than people have documented. We have been here longer than people are willing to go and study. So to me, East West Players is a vital piece of the architecture of American theater, and it must remain. The fact that we have a theater named after David Henry Hwang, the first Asian American playwright to win a Tony Award, is invaluable. The fact that we have an arts education program that nurtures young people across the Southern California basin is remarkable and important. I think East West Players does for the API community. It provides a dreaming space. I think East West can do a better job in the future. I'm so excited, I'm like shaking. I think our new artistic director needs to continue to vision about how to claim a space artistically that isn't just about, as Dom said, our anger, but is about our love and our celebration, and about the next layers of our humanity that we're never allowed to have when we're only cast in a role for 5 seconds to bring things on and off stage. And I know we have those roles here, but we need more of them. East West Players is important because when we did the hands raise, there were not enough designers in the room. East West Players is important because when we did the hands raise, there were not enough playwrights or directors or artists in this room, or choreographers. I think East West Players is important because we are part of the fabric of our history, but we are also really part of the solutions of our future. And that in this place, in this part of town, in this historical building, East West Players survived 9/11 and what happened after when the police shut down the street. East West Players has survived when the economic stuff has turned down. And I think just the last thing to say is, I think it is important because I want to see East West Players financially succeed so people can shut up about the fact that diversity does not sell. I think that the new artistic director and the board needs to have a new team to continue to nurture the fact that we are a financially viable, artistic, creative outlet that is necessary for the next generation of humanity in this country and the API diaspora around the world.
Holy shit, Allison, you're a hard act to follow. I'm Ken Narasaki. I'm a writer and an actor. And, I was lucky enough to be literary manager here from, I think, 1995 to 2002. And in that time, I was able to watch something that was really, I think, relevant to what's happening now, which was East West made the change from a 99-seat theater on Santa Monica Boulevard to here. And in the process, it made the change from being a pioneering organization to an organization that really truly has a national scope and impact. And one that's really made a difference in Hollywood. I think we're seeing it now, the work that they've done in terms of their liaisons with entertainment organizations. We've really made a big impact. And I'm really proud to be a part of East West and be a part of that change. But one thing that was interesting to me during that change was watching East West working with another consulting group trying to prepare themselves for this change to become an equity theater, to become a theater whose budget would triple in 1 year, as it did. And one of the things they kept talking about was how the culture would change. And I watched that, you know, both as an insider and as an outsider. I was new to East West. I was new to LA. I felt welcomed in by the community that already existed, but I was also watching it in flux. And it strikes me now that I don't know if it really ever recovered from that change. I think there was a certain amount of community that got lost when it made the big leap. And it took several years, I think, for the community to refine its relationship with this organization. And I'm hoping that that East West Players and the consulting group and the search committee will be mindful of the fragility of culture, the fragility of the culture of an organization, and I hope they'll be mindful of the culture of East West Players and how it's evolved, and how it will evolve with the next artistic director.
Thank you.
Hey, my name is Christopher Chen. I'm an actor. I'm not the Christopher Chen who's a playwright in San Francisco. I'm not the Christopher Chen who has a sperm bank in Singapore. I'm also not the Christopher Chen who is a producer here in LA for Looper and things. This is a Christopher Chen actor, so the other Christopher Chen. Anyway, I have a unique perspective because I'm from the Midwest in Cleveland Playhouse, even though I got my start at Great Lakes Theater Festival. There's some other people who are alums of East West Players who are also from Ohio, like Ray Chang, Reggie Lee is also from Cleveland, and also Paul Wong, also from Cleveland. My perspective, though, gave kind of, instead of making me an outsider, it pushed me to just go and play with the white people. So that's what I've been doing my whole professional career. Even when I started out auditioning for Tim when I first moved here, I thought, oh, there's Asians here, it's cool, but I think I might have better luck being where I'm my comfort zone, which is playing with the white people. So I did that. I've done that my whole career. My first job ever was singing for a theme park in Sandusky, Ohio called Cedar Point. It was a show called America Sings. I was the only Asian in the entire department. I was a theater major at Northwestern University in Chicago. I was the only theater major in that whole department. So you can see how I'm like, that Asian guy probably thinks he's white, doesn't he? So I've been doing that. And part of me now feels a little guilty and ashamed of doing that, because East West Players has been here the whole time. I've been a fan since I moved here. And I went from just seeing shows occasionally and knowing this is the institution. It's the East Asian place to be and go. But I just became a fringe fan. And this year, this season, because of what Tim Dang and the board's done with this amazing 50th anniversary asset, I'm gonna see everything that goes up in that anniversary season, everything. No matter how I get to do it, and I have. I've seen every show this season, and I'm proud of that. But what I wanted to address was this. I thought about it when I read question 2 about what East West Players' role is in terms of representing the Asian. It still is and still always will be the place to go to find Asian professional talent and artists. But thinking that I had been such an outsider my whole life, because I go from Sherman Oaks to go to San Gabriel to eat Chinese food, the food of my people, what if East West Players looked at, I know these things take money, but reaching out to high schools where there are more kids who might become artists, where they might be in the next Lin-Manuel Miranda, like at Arcadia High School, Monrovia High School. My friend Bonnie here is from Chatsworth High School, but she was the only theater major at that high school. But where we can cultivate that through a community and like school outreach, maybe school shows. Because I saw my first musical on a school field trip and it hooked me for life. Those kinds of outreach.
Okay,
Yeah, so more community outreach in that. Thank you.
We go from Studio City to San Gabriel for Chinese food too, and dim sum. So for Jews. So that's what we do.
Hi, I'm Jen Song. I'm an actor, and I'm gonna echo a lot of the sentiments that Christopher just gave. My first show at East West Players I saw when I was 18, 19, and having grown up in a really white neighborhood on the East Coast and coming here to Los Angeles, I really felt like I had found a place where I was getting an education I didn't get in high school, an education I wasn't getting in my college classes. The knowledge I have about the Asian American experience is in large part due to East West Players. From the shows that I saw here, from the the people that I met, and the fact that East West seemed to always be opening themselves up to a younger audience, to the younger artists. I don't know if 18 and 19 are, that's still young, right? I mean, but the idea that so as far as what's successful about East West, I don't know if it's financially successful, but your arts education and your outreach for creating a community of young actors is huge. The conservatory, East West Players Network, which turned into ACTS. All of that, I think, is just a huge part of building that community, so I really hope that whatever this future has for East West, it will contain that element of it, because I know I grew up here as much as I did in college as anywhere else. So, thank you very much.
Other thoughts on the first or second question, which some people have sort of come together on? Great.
Oh, sorry, Steve.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Ruben Wee, and forgive me if my thoughts are not so organized, but we're Black Balkans. Anyway, I'd like to address the second question regarding the visibility of Asian Americans in TV film, like, you know, the increase in portrayals. And I'm pretty optimistic of what's happening. It seems like we are starting to get better represented, but there's a concern on my part, like every time you go see a big box office Hollywood film, it seems they're trying to cater to Asians, but to Asians. Like, hey, let's get some big actor from China, and maybe that will appease them, like the Chinese market, right? So I think there's a difference between the focus towards Asian Americans, the Asian American experience, versus just putting somebody that China or Japan or that Asia will, oh, I see somebody who looks like me, okay, great, let's all watch that movie. And so I think there's a big focus on earning potential with regards to Hollywood and the industry. So I'm guessing, like, what will East-West players do to tell the industry, like, hey, it's a viable source, stream of revenue? Like, how do we prove to the industry, like, yeah, we can, in the same way that what Ugly Betty did for the Hispanic community, which is, hey, if we get all the Hispanic community to watch this show, it will make you a lot of money. So I'm thinking, like, what are we gonna do to address that, to say that the particular Asian American experience and not just the Asian experience is a viable, I can't even think of a term, like stream of revenue? Earning potential? Yeah, so I'm guessing that economics basically. So I'm thinking, like, what's going to be the steps to go towards that goal?
Thank you.
I'm Jason Fong. It's funny, you could be an actor and still get terribly nervous in front of people. I could talk about my experience of what I think is important, and I think what's important for me has been that it's East-West is a space, a physical space to come to. When I was in college, I took a drama class, my first drama class, and I was around all these people who weren't like me and people who were big, and I felt so small. And I remember getting out of college and needing a place to see if this is something I wanted to do. And I went to the space on Santa Monica Boulevard, and I walked in, and they were rehearsing Into the Woods, and I walked up and I met Irma, who was ironing, and she called me Cookie. Somebody said, hey Jason, why don't you help out with Into the Woods, be like a assistant. I'm like, yeah, okay. And that night, I think, maybe the same night, I think Tim was at the end of rehearsal. I was kind of watching it. He's like, oh, and by the way, we have Jason Fong. He's going to be our new assistant to Into the Woods. And I didn't come back after that. I don't know if you remember. I finally remember. But I did come back another day, and I saw their conservatory, and I thought, oh, this looks good. So I waited a whole year to come back the next year for their summer conservatory, and I took it. And Dom and Sachiko were running it, and Leslie was teaching, and it was wonderful. And what I remember from, like, the first day of being in this environment of all these Asian artists was, for the first time, I felt like I wasn't the smallest piece of energy in a bunch of other people who felt so big. All of a sudden, I felt like I feel more confident than some of the other actors in this acting class I was in at East-West. And for some reason, it changed the way I felt, and it changed my confidence, where instead of feeling like I was always behind and trying to catch up, I felt, oh, wait a minute. I feel actually I'm a little better at this than that person over there, and I'm a little worse than that person over there, but all of a sudden, it changed everything for me. And so it took something that I wasn't quite sure that I wanted to continue on with, and it helped propel me to something that I'm still doing today. And I think having that physical space to come to was extremely vital to me.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Sachio Kei. My real name is Sachiko Hayashi. I am from Japan and I'm an actress. And I just wanna share my story with East West players. I moved from Japan to United States 1991, and I was at that time I was living in Hemet, California, and my teacher at the college introduced me to East West players. So one summer I took summer conservatory class. That was 1994, and Jason and many others was there. Yes, and well, I was, opportunity to learn from many great, wonderful, teachers who are passed away, which is Mako and Ben Lam. And I remember what Ben said to me, to the group, so I want to share. I hope I'm saying it right. So Ben said, before we get typecast to the other, Hollywood, this East West Players is a great safe place to shape your skills. You can make a mistake here. You can, we are all same, so we can really, into acting before we go outside to get typecast. I think that's, are you right? I mean, I want to ask him, I'm sure he's with us, but I think he said that, and I just want to share. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Alina. I'm a writer and actor, and Madhuri and I had sort of the same thought, and I think we're both nervous, so we're coming together. I completely hear and feel everything that everyone said. I just want to specifically respond as much as I can to number 3. What do I think might be a challenge for East-West players in the future? I guess as an artist, as well as someone that comes to this theater in particular and that has worked at this theater, I guess my dream, my hope for East-West players in the future is to find whoever the new artistic leader is, someone that thinks of race in a different way, so that not only is this the premier Asian American theater, but it's a theater known for producing and developing quality work, new work, from Asian Americans, South Asian Americans, the voices that we don't hear. Surprisingly, as a writer, most of my biggest opportunities have come from what we would call in this room white institutions. So I'm hoping that in the future the artistic director brings a new perspective on race and what that means today. We do not live in a post-racial world at all, but how people view race and how people think about race is changing, and not always to our benefit. In addition to a new AD, I don't know the rules of an equity theater, but if there's a development person that knows about grants specifically targeting theater being developed for underrepresented or underprivileged communities, I think that would be a huge asset. Madhuri can probably say better what I'm trying to say.
I think Lena said it very well. I just want to say that I think what I would love to see East-West players do is take more chances on emerging playwrights. Like Dawn said, what we need is more people telling our stories, and for that we need more playwrights. And I think East-West players is wonderfully positioned to be the hub of new work development in Los Angeles. I would like to point out Maya Theater Collective in New York as a great example of playwrights coming together and making work. The Standard Theater Group has a really great new play development program that I think if East-West players replicated that for Asian American writers, that would be amazing. I just want to point out, my play, Nice Indian Boy, was produced here. They took a chance on me. I'm not I was fresh out of grad school. Shane's play, Wood of No Importance, that Lena starred in, they took a chance on him. Wash and Dryer, Takarazuka, Christmas in Hanoi. These are great plays that only happened because this theater took a chance on us, and I just want to see a lot more of that. Yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Another old timer. So my name's Ren Hanami, and I actually got started at East West Players when it was at the Black Box on Santa Monica. I grew up, like some of you, in a very in Huntington Beach, which I was like the only Asian that acted and sang and danced, and so I always pictured myself in the movies and shows as like Judy Garland, and those were my role models. I didn't have like, you know, anyone that looked like my mom. And I didn't know much about my Hawaiian or Japanese heritage, except for the food. And so East West Players was like the first place I got to, I figured that would happen, that I'd still get those roles when I came to Los Angeles. I went to UCLA, and then got the cold water on me that, no, you have to play, you know, just flower drum song, or, you know, whatever they considered that I could look like. So East West Players was the first family home, I felt like, that I could come. I did company, and I got to play April, the ditzy one, which was great. And then I got to do a wonderful play with Tim when he was still acting called Performance Anxiety that was Alberto directed. And then Dom didn't mention Canton Jazz Club, which was like a huge musical with great composers too, Joel Iwataki and Nathan Wong, and Takaya Fisher was in that. That's where we met. And so I'd say it really opened my eyes and gave me a lot of opportunity when I first got out of UCLA. What I'm discovering, like someone else said, is that in mainstream entertainment, you're a visual immigrant. If you look Asian or Pacific Islander, you're really never really considered American. You know, there are a few that are on television that are making a little headway, but it seems like we take 2 steps forward and 3 steps back, and you know, every year it's a struggle. When I watch the Tony Awards and I don't see anybody up there, you know, luckily we had someone from King and I this year, but after however many years, you know, so I don't think that it's going to go away. I think the accessibility and exposure that's provided from East West Players is just really super important. It's not going to change, really. I think that with the playwriting, our lives matter, and not just about anger. We matter as Americans who happen to have Asian, Pacific Islander roots, and South Asian, and anyone else that identifies. And
thank you.
Okay, thanks.
A band, but when I play you off, I should do it with the band.
I'm Getty Watanabe. I thought I'd show up. I'm glad I did. So, from experience in this industry, I think I've played probably Chinese gay, Vietnamese interpreter, Chinese gay Vietnamese interpreter, many interpreters, some of them pretty badly. But I have to say that the reason why I think East West Players is important is because as an artist, and we're also really vulnerable. We lose confidence. We lose the belief in ourselves. And I think you all who experience this have experienced that, you know, it doesn't help as you get older and all these other things, right? So we've got a lot going against us. So my plea is to always keep that confidence, no matter what. Keep your strength inside somehow. And what resulted in my confidence, basically, was nobody would have cast me as suitless in forum. And it reinvigorated my sense of self-worth, that I could actually speak the language I didn't have to learn another language, thank God. I'm sure you all knew that. And I'm sure you all been through that, and I'm sure you're all gonna go through that even more because of the way the industry is put together. But I owe that to you. And I think what the next artistic director, what I see is somebody incredibly embracing, somebody who can reinstate the confidence that we need as artists and as actors. And if you start losing that, I think the best thing to do is to come here and participate as much as you can. I've been a fall to that, but I try to come back as much as I can. But really it is about participating in this. I can see all of you and wanting to all participate, wanting to be a part of it. And I think that's the most important thing. Don't look for the big things, it's okay. Just start with yourself and the small things, and I just think things will happen, things will come together. And it's happened, you know? I mean, look at this place, it's just a miracle. And the other thing about the future is I also think, I tend to agree with whoever said to involve the young people, to start actually getting them involved, getting them excited, getting them confident. Don't lose confidence.
Thank you, Manny.
Hi, my name's Anil Kumar. I'm a hyphenate slash. My question, I guess it speaks to the second question that you had, or my comment, I guess, is I'm asking myself, what happens if East-West goes away? What happens if it stops now? Who loses? What is lost? How do we? I know that East-West is vital to each and every one of us here in the room and to our groups, right? How do we make it vital to every single freaking person in Los Angeles? That there's that mentality, and I spent some time in New York, and so as clearly you have, that when there was a great show that was happening in New York, the mentality of everybody was, oh my God, you gotta go see that show. What's going on? Have you seen that show? You haven't seen that show? My God, you have to go see that show. So to create that kind of excitement and energy, I mean, clearly, I mean, you all are doing great work. You guys have been doing it for so long. But what if we went away tomorrow? How do we make it vital to the entire community of Los Angeles and beyond that and whatever? And so this also kind of dovetails into another thing, which is about, like, you know, the donors. And those of you that are on the board that have been here for all these years, thank you, God bless you. Where are the rest of them? We're freaking Asian. We make so much money. There is so much money in our freaking communities. How do we get to those people? Who's the next Dorothy Chandler that's going to build one for us? I mean, we've got this place that's beautiful, yeah. But where are those people? So how do we get to them? You know, billboards and signs and stuff. I mean, so I don't know if that's a question or if that's a comment or that answers anything, but that's what I have.
Hi, good evening. My name is Anta. I'm an Indonesian actor. Thanks for Marilyn who invited me to come to this place. This is my first time coming here. I have a thought for the number 4. I think there will be it's very big potential for the EWP in the next future to give a what is that? Very diverse of artists or anybody who want to participate in this community to make a show or events like this. What I mean is, what is my answer? So. I cannot make any suggestion, but this is just a small, like a contribution, like to give like equality for artists from every country that represent Asian American. Thank you.
Thank you. Tweets?
Hi, I'm going to read out one of the tweets that we received. This is from Catherine Nishibayashi, and she says, East West Players gives me an opportunity to see a stage full of people that look like me in mainstream theater roles.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bonnie Alvarez, and I'm a playwright. At the risk of sounding very like a downer, I'm just going to speak from the heart. I had really eager hopes of finding a home at East West Players, and I thought that was going to happen after I graduated from USC. And it didn't happen. And that's okay. So when someone says, you know, what would happen if East West Players didn't exist? Quite honestly, as a playwright, I would still continue on my merry way. Because I don't really feel like I've had a home here. I don't think it's been completely inclusive of the entire Asian diaspora. And I've noticed a little bit of change over the past year and a half, and I'm hoping that perhaps new leadership will take it in that direction that can encompass a lot more stories, a lot more risk, a lot more reward in taking a risk, even if it fails. So that's why I'm here tonight. I'm just hoping. I'm really hoping that it becomes more inclusive. And I don't even care about Hollywood. I don't care about movies and all that stuff. I'm talking theater. I'm talking theater for us, you know. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say because I'm rambling and my heart is really pounding. But I'm looking for inclusion, and I'm not, I'm looking for inclusion. That's it.
So my name is Leilani Chan. I am artistic director of theater productions. And Bonnie, I don't want to cry. I agree with everything everyone said, both positive and challenging. And I don't know if we moved on to 3-4 question. We sort of have
just rolling with it now.
I'm trying to not repeat what other people have said. So I've kind of gone on to the question number 3, challenges and potential. I think the challenge that the AD probably I have seen and East West Players is that is a lightning rod for all of us. All of our hopes and dreams go into East West Players as artists. Only. But I also want to say that it's also a challenge to be innovative with such a large house, to make the budget. I can't even dream of what you've had to deal with, Tim. I'd have a heart attack. At the same time, I think the potential around having an expansive definition of Asian American, learning from the internment plays to help us look at current refugee populations that are coming to the US that are under the Asian American umbrella, that to me is the potential in the future. And the one thing that I do want to clearly say is, I know we're focusing on the transition of the artistic director, but I want to be clear, it's about courageousness of the board to make the decision. Because the artistic director can only be as strong and as risk-taking and as expansive as the board can back up that artistic director. So I want to say that.
We're looking at actually questions 3 and 4. Of course, if you want to say something from 1 or 2, that's possible as well. And don't feel like you can't repeat what other people have said, because if we hear recurring themes, recurring thoughts, that helps us understand where the interests are. So again, feel free to express, because we want to hear from you. So whatever you have to say. Okay? Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robert Todd. I am a choreographer and a director. I've been away for a while, about 21 years. I just showed up. I saw Watch and Dry this year, which my friend Aditya wrote, and it was amazing because we used to just read that play in our living rooms. And oh my God, this is amazing. This is me. This is me. This is my Asian American story. That's what I'm here to talk about. And I think the show before that I saw was probably Sweeney Todd. So I've been away for a long time. But when I was away, I honed my skills I was a dancer and a performer, and I became this choreographer and director. What I'm realizing in my success as a director choreographer, I've been in New York specifically, I've been showing up at these all-white meetings. Like it's 11 o'clock at night, we're in previews for a Broadway show, we're in production, and all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock and all the actors go home, and I look around like, I'm the only Asian person in this room of 50 people in a Broadway theater. It is the weirdest feeling in the world. So, the role I see in this theater, and I encourage, I know it's already happened, but I do want to represent the other side, continue to foster, yes, playwrights. There are amazing playwrights in this audience, there are amazing actors, you're all super talented and gorgeous, but set designers, I'm going to say specifically, set designers, lighting designers, costume designers, music directors, stage managers. When I'm at these all-white meetings, I'm like, I know so many people who could do these jobs. And I encourage you actors to keep showing up. But if any of you actors want to become directors, if any of you music people want to become music, singers want to become music directors, if any of you fashionistas want to become a stylist and a designer, if any of you dancers want to become a choreographer, come to this side. We need more. I need backup. All my friends have said, it's like, oh, you didn't hire, that show didn't hire any Asians. I was like, I was in that room for 3 days worth of auditions and no one showed up. I'm not saying you aren't, because you guys did show up. And that's the number one thing. One of my mentors said, the reason why you got the job is because you showed up. So don't stop showing up. Moving forward, and I'm not talking for a job. It's just in the future, continue encouraging the next major set designer, the next William Ivy Long, costume designer, the next Donald Holder lighting design. There are so many big jobs in theater.
All right, thank you.
And we can do it here too. So thank you.
Hi, my name is Leslie Ishii. Thank you to the consultants, Tim Dang, and of course the East West Players Board for hosting this town hall. It's such a critical moment in our history. I look out in this audience and see students, colleagues, longtime colleagues, and I was so pleased to see there was a young gentleman that this is his first time. And that's what East West Players represents to me. When I first came, Nobu was still our artistic director, and I had just been trained by the American Conservatory Theater. And she said, you will teach. But I set about a course to actually recover. While I learned great skills at the American Conservatory Theater, and I will always be grateful, this has always been my home where I could really claim who I am as an Asian Pacific Islander, as a Japanese fourth generation American. And with the wonderful room to grow and explore and develop curriculum that really embeds our liberation in it. I am so proud that Jason Fong stood up tonight, and so proud to have taught alongside Dom Magwili and Sachiko, where we could actually claim who we are. Marilyn at one point told me, and I want to bring this up because I know her position will become open too, and these two positions together are so critical, and how they will work together to develop the vision going forward for East West Players. Because often the education department plays a second, kind of a stepchild to the larger vision, but I always felt that Tim supported Marilyn, and I hope that we can do that as we go forward. But Marilyn said, Leslie, we get the wounded birds. Those who have come from other classes around town or even around the country or the training that didn't really honor who they are and really empower them for who they are. So I'm really excited that I could come and give and volunteer and participate and get so much more than I gave. And it really aided my own recovery, that I could be here and develop as a director, as an artist, and as a teaching artist. And it's important that you know this theater gave me the positioning, it gave me the agency to get together a group of teaching artists in Los Angeles that were a diverse group that went to the TCG National Conference, and our breakout session, Ending Racism, Eliminating Racism in the American Theater, is what led to Theater Communications Group developing and implementing their Diversity and Inclusion Institute.
Thanks.
So thank you for giving me agency and the opportunity to develop. Thank you.
Hi there, my name is Wes Liang, and I am an actor. Being right-handed, acting's always been my right hand. It's close to my heart, but I started getting into writing, playwriting, screenwriting, and directing because the challenge that I saw when I first moved to LA was that the parts that I wanted, they were going to white guys. And the parts that I was really not dying for, they were like, hey, we need an Asian delivery guy on stage or whatever. So I got into writing. Coming from San Francisco and having worked at Asian American Theater Company, all I heard was East-West players, East-West players. And when I first came down, I remember bombing an audition at East-West, and I was just heartbroken. I was like, okay, my career's over. But I do want to say that years later, I was at some opening for some play, and in the lobby, Tim was there, and he came by and he said, and I was doing a play at the time. It was in the calendar section of LA Times, and Tim came by and said, "Hey, so how's that show going?" I don't know if you remember this, but he said, "How's that show going?" And I was just shocked that he saw that picture, recognized that it was me. And I think why East-West is important is because I think they are invested in your success. I don't think that you get that from other theater companies. They're invested in your success as an Asian American artist. They want to see you succeed. And this is before I worked here. And so I remember that moment, and I remember telling my friends about it. I said, you know, who does that? And he came by and said, you know, how's the show? I hope it goes well. And that really reminded me that as intimidated as I was when I first moved to LA about the space, I think it is a home. It's a home for you even before you realize it's a home. And going to the next question, number 2, I think it's a watchdog. I think it's a place to collect our voice together, to respond to whatever controversy, whether in film, TV, or you know, as an example, the La Jolla Playhouse scenario. Number 3, big challenge. I think as a playwright, I've had scripts in my hand prepared, and I've thought about getting it here. And I've heard people say, they're not going to do that. That's not them. And I guess my question is, you know, it was heartbreaking because I wanted to be a part of possibly changing the identity. If they won't do that, why won't they? And then I started thinking, do I have a right to change the identity, you know? And so there's a little bit of a love-hate in the sense of trying to figure out what is the identity? What are people talking about when they say they're not going to do that play?
Thank you. Nope.
Are you going to play me off, though?
I'm going to play you off.
Okay. The last question.
Still going to be talking.
Black box, incubation space, mentoring. I think those are great potential for you know, new changes, possibilities. Yeah.
Thanks so much.
Hi, Howard Ho. I'm shy, but and I'm a sound designer, so I'm usually not in front of people. I'm behind the booth. And I also write musicals, and I'm a writer. I'm studying at USC right now. And the reason I'm able to do all that is because of East West Players. My very first Sondheim musical was right here in this theater, right when they moved in, Pacific Overtures, and changed my life. I mean, it introduced me to Stephen Sondheim, but it introduced me to East West Players and the idea that all these Asian American talented people were putting on these amazing productions. And to this day, like that is the entry point and the top of my kind of experience in Asian American theater. So about this thing of, you know, what's next? We have 50 years. This has been around for 50 years, and we're in a huge theater. There's 50 years worth of works to draw from. I mean, why are we not reviving those shows? I've never seen Canton Jazz Club. I've never seen Avocado Kid or And the Soul Shall Dance. And I think that in some ways, we're always hoping like, oh, I hope they cast me in Hollywood, or I hope this thing happens and that. It's happened. We're here. This exists. Well, let's celebrate that. Let's just, instead of looking for validation, let's self-validate. Like people are nostalgic all the time for things that have happened like 20 years ago. This is 50 years. Let's just, we don't have to apologize or like qualify it to anyone. Philip Kangotanda, David Henry Wong. And also, as a musical writer, I would like to see more new musicals. Madri, I think, mentioned more playwrights. I think more new musicals, just because it just goes straight to people's hearts, and it just kind of bypasses their thought process. They're like, oh, music, yeah. And we're talking about Hamilton, like, yeah, that's why Hamilton works. I mean, that music is just so soul-piercing, and like we're looking for the next Hamilton. Like, we have it. Like, you revived Beijing Spring, these works exist. I mean, Imelda, which I was lucky enough to cover for the LA Times, is just like, these shows are out there, and it's not so much a matter of, trying to like, cultivate it out of nothing. It's here already. So I think we just need to like celebrate that heritage and just really, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. We have 15 minutes left, so I am going to be much more strict with my time. I've been incredibly generous until now, but I am really going to hold it to 90 seconds now. So know that. And if you have not had a chance to speak what you want to, Allison is starting the line all over again. So you definitely want to make sure that...
I'm answering question 3 and 4, just to be clear.
Oh, she's going to come back for question 3 and 4. All right, so we've got 15 minutes, so please do, if you want to say something, we definitely want to hear from you. And we have a tweet.
I'm going to read 2 more tweets. The first one is from Jason Coe. What frustrates me is that as important as the theater is for the Asian American community, its budget is still tight. We need powerful donors. And the second one is from Michael Galanko. Does EWP have something like the Ma Yi Theater Writers Lab? Their output represents the cutting edge of American theater, not just Asian American theater, and has been produced nationwide. It's an amazing model.
Thank Michael. All right.
Hello, my name is Mark Macalinto. I've been a music director here, an actor, and also a composer for East West Players. First of all, biggest challenge is please keep this theater open for the next 50 years by any means necessary, and it is so important because we just need to have all of those actors that are on this stage. There is no other better school and better training than working with tactilness and with breathing and with something real as it is on stage, and that must be kept open. Also, for the actors to train, it is also for the writers as well. I would like to see East West Players to develop some kind of residency program for both composers, playwrights, lyricists to develop new work, so they can also have a year-long residency to help develop their craft on a stage with Asian American actors, so that they can best represent Asian American stories that are both reflective of the present times. One thing that I do really think that was very cool about what East West Players has been doing is that it's always been very daring to try and always keep a pulse on what is important, what is going on in the community at large, how Asian American fits into the jigsaw puzzle of the society as a whole. So I do appreciate, like, you know, how Tim has reached out to trying to develop a voice for hip-hop hip-hop artists and all that stuff. Okay, thank you very much. Keep it going. Thank you, guys.
Hello, Annette Lee, playwright. I wasn't going to get up and talk tonight because I just, you know, I don't know. But I made notes, so let me come and read them. Currently, I am a literary manager at Playwrights Arena. I also serve on staff at UCLA's Department of Theater. But before all of that, I was on staff here at East West Players in the transition years, in the very difficult transition years into this space. So I came on as a sales manager, and I had the job of filling all of these seats, you know, from like the 99 house. And during that process, I observed a lot of things during that year that I spent on staff. And you know, I was late to coming to East West Players, so I wasn't a part of the old guard that had been part of the heyday of the 99-seat theater. But what I did see was a lot of what Ken and Don were describing was this change, this very difficult culture change, because you know, it was a big thing to go from being a 99-seat house into a mid-sized equity. We suddenly started having to pay people, we had a bigger budget, you can't have as many volunteers, or the volunteers are in a different nature. It's not going to be the same as where everybody shows up and does strike and then has mochi after. You know, it just doesn't happen that way anymore. So, you know, it's tough. It was very tough, but, you know, and then there was a lot of criticism too about like what was going to be produced on stage, because you have a lot more freedom in a 99-seat house than you do on a mid-size. Cast-wise, you know, budget-wise. So, you know, but I think that what was really important during this time that I thought...
Thank you.
Darn!
Okay, so picking on what she said, one, I think the next challenge is that the board has to help the artistic leader welcome an equally remarkable business leader to help manage and partner and financially lead the organization, so the artistic director can be the artistic director. I say this out of love and the reality I've worked all over. We need to be paying everybody off stage and on stage a living wage. We just need to set that bar. We need to know that when we come work in our own houses, we're getting paid what we're worth, and we're able to support each other financially. I think equally we need to have, I think the next set of challenges is around looking at cross-sector partnerships and business partnerships and the ways to engage in our communities. We know that there's money here. We know we have the largest, most diverse API population in the United States. How can we help to support all this being mobilized? And I say this as a kid who was raised here in LA. I wasn't just raised around white people. I was raised in the San Gabriel Valley, and I was raised in the South Bay. And I come to East West Players because I'm a kid who's from here, who grew up around other APIs, who was also hungry and looking for our role models. And then just last, I think East West, one of the challenges is to continue to walk that line between the local leadership and the realities of glass ceilings among white institutions here in LA, and the national needs of working with partners like Tiara and Mai and everybody in Kata, and what are our national needs and what is happening as a larger movement. That East West is certainly a tentpole, but not the only leader, and I appreciate the way in which we've been leaders, but that we also open the doors and provide space for everybody to take up the space that they need, even if they've already spoken once. Thank you.
Good evening. Hi, my name is Ova Sao Pang. I'm with Theater Productions, and this is
Utah.
If you don't know, Leilan and I are married and we have a son. Anyway, what do you want to say, Nuta, about East West Players and the importance of East West Players? You forget? Huh? Oh, you don't want to say it. I came up and I thought about the importance of East-West players. I think 50 years, I was looking at all the posters and I'm like, wow, there's nothing about Lao American play. So for me, being Lao American. But the importance of East-West players is nurturing. It can be a nurturing place. And I think that's really important because we got to nurture all our artists.
Well, I want to see a kid play.
You want to see a kid? I think about East-West can be a sandbox, you know, for Asian Pacific American voices, artists. And you want to say something?
You have 2 seconds.
Okay, 2 seconds. Nurturing. There's two and a half of these people here. So give me a.
Well.
All right, on that note, we're going to say thank you.
Thank you. But I do want to say, I think the challenge is for East-West, you know, hold on 1 second. How do you you know, embrace such a diaspora of our community? Because it is you know, even in the 50 years, there's still a lot more stories to be told. So, I mean, you know, how do we do that?
For those of you that I did cut off, it is possible, if you could please continue your thought either through a tweet or an email. We do want to hear from you, so please don't think just because I had to play you off that I don't want to hear what you have to say or that we are not really interested in it.
On that note, my question really is there a survey we can fill out? Because, you know, if we're Asian, we want an essay, we can an essay answer to each question. I'm serious. And also, this is a scary way to get our input. I'm like nervous and I'm a performer. So I don't know how your community event's gonna go tomorrow for non-speakers. So a survey would be awesome because I can't get what I have to say in whatever the Twitter limit is. That's all.
There's no formal survey, but then we will have an email address. Did we give that out yet?
Not yet.
Okay, should we?
Sure. Is there anyone else?
Okay. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Joy Yao, and I'm so lucky to be part of Chinglish. We closed yesterday, and also I took classes at the conservatory with Dom. And that was one of the very few classes that it was not about my accent. It was about my acting, so I really appreciate that. And today I'm really happy that we brought up Asian versus Asian Americans, because I feel like that's very important. How do we channel or approach new immigrants? Because I think that's a new market, and I also think that's a potential donation from the very brand new community. And I guess that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. The email address is townhall@eastwestplayers.org. Townhall, all one word, @eastwestplayers.org. Tim?
Great. Thank you so much to all of you for giving your input. Tonight has been, you know, a very eye-opening evening for me. I mean, I am always considered a lifelong learner, so I continue to learn from all of you. And I'd like to thank, you know, our board members and ACG here tonight for facilitating and helping out. And again, if any other further thoughts come to you, please feel free to email us at townhall@eastwestplayers.org. Tomorrow night is the community town hall, and we're expecting about the same amount of people to come. And you know, there's been many comments that were made about East-West players taking more risks and working with the Mayi Theaters Company, or looking at the model of Mayi Theater Company. And we actually are looking at the Mayi Theater model for playwrights. Our Associate Artistic Director, Snehal Desai, is really doing a wonderful job in terms of integrating all of this for new works here at East-West Players. But we do have to work it because our culture is just a little bit different from New York, and there are these various things. So, you know, I'll be happy to talk to you more about it either after or offline. But I do want to thank all of you for doing this. And tomorrow's community night, I really look forward to, because sometimes what the community is looking for is different from what the artists are creating. And that's why we wanted to separate it, because we knew that the artists were going to be very, very passionate and eloquent in what they had to say, and we wanted to hear all of you, but then we also want to hear the community as well in terms of our educators and all that. So, and it's not going to be one of these lining up, for the community. We're going to be working in more workshop style in groups as we do that. I do invite, if you do want to come, please feel free to come tomorrow night. But again, we want to hear from the community. So it might be very, very interesting for you to hear what the community has to say. And I also want to thank the wonderful East West Players staff who coordinated tonight. Thank you so much. And lastly, I really want to thank all of you, the artists, because without the artists, East West Players would be nothing. So, thank you. There's some wine and cake outside, but other than that, we thank you, and this concludes this evening. Thank you so much to all of you in the theater and online for joining us. Good night.